welcome to my 517 Follow Friday series. Today, I'm talking with Amy Wilczek with Oasis Senior Advisors of Mid-Michigan. Amy helps seniors and their families connect with the resources they need, including navigating the world of senior living options. Amy, thank you for taking time to chat with me today.
Well, thanks for having me.
All right, so let's talk about those senior living options first, because I feel like this is probably the biggest topic, the biggest area of need for families. And I know there's different types of facilities. So can you just walk through the differences between assisted living, memory care, and skilled nursing?
Okay. So skilled nursing, first off, is going to be more of your rehab type situation where somebody needs an actual nurse on staff to make sure that medication is passed correctly. You're needing IVs and all that fun stuff. They also have long-term care options as well. So that meaning more of a Medicaid style long-term care unit.
Mm-hmm.
Then you move on to self-pay. And so that would include your assisted living and your memory care. Assisted living, that's going to be, your 3 meals a day, your room, basically your room and board, housekeeping, laundry, all of that fun stuff. And then memory care is going to be a secured unit, where, in other words, if you have dementia or an Alzheimer's diagnosis, they don't want you wandering around. So you're going to have like either a key fob to get in and out or a passcode to get in and out. And there's typically a lot more caregivers involved with memory care, just simply because there's more of a one-on-one need. So,
Okay. All right. And then independent living is kind of where they get started. You would transition from there to typically from there to assisted living.
Yeah.
But are there facilities where you can have both? You can be
Absolutely.
independent, but have needs and just grow as you're there.
Absolutely. And most assisted livings will have an independent living option, just depending
Okay.
on what your care level is and what you need. But there are independent living residences that you can go into that are not licensed by the state. So what ends up happening with them, they bring in what we call a third party for care. It's usually a separate fee, and it's done at the hand of that particular company. So you're getting your room, your board, your housekeeping, all that fun stuff is taken care of by one company, and then the care company comes in and takes care of that. Where that becomes important is if you have a long-term care insurance policy, because most policies will want you to have a licensed facility in order to be there. So in order for them to pay.
Okay.
If you don't need them to pay, then it doesn't matter where you are. So, but I know that most people, if you have a long-term care policy, you really want them to pay for whatever it is, for sure.
Okay. So living in a facility like that where they're not licensed and you're just essentially paying to live in that community, and then you have somebody come in and provide certain care, would it be the same type of providers if you were living at home and you had a provider coming into your home? Same idea?
Pretty much.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Pretty much. So it's like living in an apartment that has your meals and your housekeeping and all of that included. And then you're hiring in a company to come in and take care of what we call the ADLs, the activities of daily living. So you're looking at, like I said, toileting, bathing, dressing, feeding, medication management. Those kinds of things are being taken care of by a different company. And so you're having that added cost. With assisted living, a lot of times what ends up happening is that you're still getting all those extra things, but it's all in one bucket. So you're having your room and board, your laundry, all of that that fun stuff. But then you've got your care option that will come into play with as you progress. So you could progress all the way through.
Okay.
There are some places that you could stay in assisted living and progress all the way through full memory care. There are places that you would be required to move to a different space when you are in memory care.
Okay.
But for the most part, independent living is basically a retirement community. You know,
Okay.
most of it's a younger set of people, a lot more active, a lot more going on. And then as you, like I said, as you progress, we can help find the right spot for the next stage or the next step. So,
Okay. In those situations where somebody goes into that independent living, but does need a separate provider to come in for
mhm.
those ADLs, do they typically get to choose who comes in, or is it the facility that connects them?
It depends. So if it's an independent facility, okay, so you have an independent living apartment type situation
Mhm.
where they're paying you're paying for your meals, your housekeeping, your laundry, all of that fun stuff. And then at that point, because they're not licensed, you don't have to use whatever care company is there. You can use a
Okay.
different care company. So, and again, not all care companies are the same.
Mhm.
So, a lot of times they will offer an in-resident type care option. So in other words, they've partnered with a company that's
Mhm.
actually in the building to
Okay.
make that easier. And instead of having someone coming in from outside constantly, there's already somebody there.
Right.
Um, Sometimes it works out great, sometimes it doesn't. Typically with an assisted living, you are going to have an actual staff, a care staff that
Mhm.
is actually run through the actual facility. So you're going to have, like, I mean, just an example. So let's say you have Brookdale. Brookdale has their own care staff.
Okay.
So that care staff is going to take care of you. Um, if you need hospice, that's going to be a separate company as well. But that's a
Okay.
whole other can of worms, and we can get into that later. So there's more. So
There is.
there's
There's
always
so
more.
much more.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay, so I feel the next big question is really cost. So
Mhm.
obviously Medicare is not going to cover these types of things. Many
No.
people have to go end up going on Medicaid if they can't
Yeah.
self-pay or don't have that long-term care insurance. So can you
Right.
give some rough numbers? What are we looking at for assisted memory care, skilled nursing?
Yeah.
What does that look like right now?
So skilled nursing, when you're looking at that rehab place and you're like, gosh, this is great. I think I want to stay here. Okay, you're typically looking at around $350 a day. So it's
Okay.
like a high-end hotel. You're
Mm-hmm.
paying for your care staff, you're doing all that. If you are on Medicaid, then those things are covered because they take federal funds in order to pay for those services,
Mm-hmm.
Medicare, all that fun stuff. If you are not on Medicaid and you are needing assistance like an assisted living, typically those are self-pay.
Okay.
So adult foster cares, whether it's small, medium, or large, and then the homes for the aged, that is also going to be self-pay. Usually around the 4 to 5, sometimes $6,000 mark. If you need a lot of care, let's say you need
Okay.
2 people to help you get in and out of bed, or you need someone to physically feed you, then you're probably looking at closer to $7,000 to $8,000 per month. Um, if you need to go on Medicaid, let's say you can't afford that, you can't get through that, you don't have the long-term care policy, it's 2742 as of right now is what the cap is for Social Security and pensions.
Right.
If you bring under that, you're good to go, as long as you have less than $2,000 in assets. If you have more than $2,000 in assets, you go into what's called a spend down. And that means you are spending all of your money on your rent and care. And that's how most people get to that point,
Right.
so that they can go on Medicaid. But
Yeah.
yes, and Michigan has two different kinds of Medicaid, and like I said, that's a whole other show.
Yeah, that's why I don't do Medicaid planning.
Yeah, it's a lot.
It's its own area of practice. So
It is. It's a lot. And then, but there are other options. I mean, there are places that people can go to get the funds to pay for care. And, obviously you're going to look at, whatever disease you're dealing with or dementia you're dealing with. And we've got some resources. There's veterans aid and attendance. Sometimes there's bridge loans available. We can certainly help with finding those resources in order to make paying for that easier. Just like I said, it's a lot. And most of the times families are very stressed when it comes to this, because there's usually been a very big health event.
right.
And unfortunately, Medicare, when they're ready to discharge, usually gives you about 48 to 72 hours. And so that leaves families scrambling. Where do we go now? What do we do? How do we handle all that? And we try and help slow that process down. So just, everybody needs to breathe. Let's take a
Right.
minute. Let's go from there, and then, figure out what next steps are. So,
Okay.
Mhm.
So if a family wants to get started with you, what does the process look like?
It's really pretty easy. It's just a phone call, and, we find out some information. What are you looking for? What are you planning for? Um, and then we can kind of go from there. We take a brief interview of, what kind of a budget are you looking at? Is there a budget, or is this something that we need to be planning for down the road? What kind of need that the seniors have? What is the brief ADLs? When we do recommend places, there are places that we have been. We never recommend some place that we haven't actually had, eyes on.
Right.
We also don't recommend, when we do recommend places, we don't share information. We are HIPAA compliant. So, our software does not allow us to share any ADL information or, healthcare information with anybody unless, they give permission to do so. So,
Right.
but we never share contact information or anything like that. So, we try and keep it as discreet as possible, and then just answer the questions and educate where we can, and go from there.
Okay. And then other than helping people find living options, are there other resources that you help families with?
Oh, absolutely.
Oh,
Yeah. We help families find elder law attorneys, and we help families find financial planners who can help to, like I said, make those right financial choices and see what they have. We help with home care options as well. So let's say somebody's just not ready for assisted living or memory care, we have the resources and the connections to make sure that they're making an educated choice as far as home care options, home health care, hospice, you name it. We have movers that we use that are more senior friendly, because not always. Same thing goes with real estate agents, because if
mhm,
you have to put grandma's house in the market, she might not be ready to leave yet. We need to have a real estate agent that's able to help with that sale and know
right.
what to to do as far as, easing that situation. So, but we help families also navigate the complexities of the dementias. So I personally am a certified senior advisor and a certified dementia practitioner.
Okay.
A lot of our Oasis people are all certified senior advisors. So we can have those conversations with families as far as, okay, this is what needs to happen. Here's the next step. This is, and then also bringing the seniors in so that they are part of that discussion. So, yep.
That is great. This information has been amazing. I'm so appreciative of your time
Aw.
today. Is there anything else that you want to share?
No, I don't think so. I mean, I have tons that I can share constantly, but as of right now, for the sake of brevity, but yes, we can have several different more conversations going down the road for sure. So,
Okay. Well, I will share all of your contact information in the caption for the video. And if anyone watching is looking for guidance or is a family member who's looking for guidance with senior living options or other resources, reach out to Amy today. And if you're interested in being featured on my Follow Friday series, you can send me an email at katrina@cornerstonelegalplc.com. Thanks for watching.